Assalamualaikum and greetings to all my partners and also Dr. Hafiz. And in this occasion, we'll present to you about assignment 2 of ECC3204 Computer Architecture. And in this occasion, we will present to you about the comparison between two gaming consoles, which are PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One. And this team consists of Wan Muhammad Amnan bin Wan Zulkifli, C. Ismail Fahmi bin C. Umar, Muhammad Hilmi bin Ali, Muhammad Qami bin Ismail, and Arya Bimo Damajati Nugroho. Next slide, please. So the point of discussion of this presentation, we will talk about the developer, hardware design, power, RAM, connectivity, price, controller, and issue. And the next slide, I will pass it to Muhammad Qami.
Okay, thank you, Bimo. Okay, the first one is intro. Okay, what is PlayStation? The PlayStation is Sony 32-bit console, which over time has become one of the most powerful video gaming console in the world, and the first ever console to ship over 100 million units. The first PlayStation was released in 1994, bringing the popular game franchise such as Final Fantasy, Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, and Metal Gear Solid to the masses. In 2000, Sony updated its products line with a new model called PS1. It was smaller and lighter than the original PlayStation and supported pairing with optional LCD screen. In the United States, it was released with Sony new PlayStation 2 at price of $99. In 2013, Sony released PlayStation 4 or PS4, the most advanced and powerful console. The PS4 is a game changer and one of the most popular video game console to date before releasing PS5 or PlayStation 5 or PS5 in 12 November 2020. Okay, the next is what is Xbox. Xbox is a video game console system developed and owned by Microsoft. The American multinational technology giant released the first Xbox game console in November 2001. It has the clear intention of competing directly with Sony PlayStation along with other video game console. However, unlike other console, the Xbox isn't built on dedicated hardware platform designed specifically for playing games. Instead, it was based on the same hardware that Microsoft PC platform was based on. The Xbox hardware is derived from the same electronic architecture as a standard IBM compatible PC. In 2005, Microsoft released the popular Xbox 360, which competed with Sony PlayStation 3. And in the 2013, it released Xbox One as successor to the Xbox 360, which competed with its rival PS4. Okay, next.
Okay, now I'll talk about the company that develops the PlayStation, which is Sony Interactive Entertainment, or known as SIE. So they are actually a child company of Sony. SIE was established in 1993, and they are responsible of handling the development of its gaming console franchise, which I think everyone knows, PlayStation. Also, SIE handles software development of PlayStation, including making and publishing video games. In 1994, they released their first PlayStation console, which used CD-ROM drive, and PlayStation 1 had sold around 102 million units worldwide. And in 2002, they released their second home console, PlayStation 2, which is PlayStation 2, and they are powered by their own CPU, Emotion Engine, and it used DVD drive instead of CD-ROM in PlayStation 1. So for your information, PS2 is a best-selling home video game console in history. Okay, in 2004, they released their portable gaming console, PlayStation Portable, or we known as PSP. And 2006, they released their third console, PlayStation 3. In 2011, they released their second generation of portable console, which is PlayStation Vita. But didn't get enough recognitions. And in 2013, PlayStation 4 was released as the successor of PS3. 2016, they upgrade their versions of PS4 to PlayStation 4 Pro, and it has better CPU and GPU that supports 4K and 60 FPS. Okay, in 2020, they released their latest generations of console, PlayStation 5. So in PlayStation 5, they use SSD instead of HDD. Okay, now for the developer of Xbox One or Xbox, it a video games company owned by Microsoft, which is Xbox Game Studios, and it's established in 2000 and handles development of its gaming console Xbox. Previously, during early establishment, they published video games for Microsoft Windows for PC around, and in 2000 they announced their project, which is Xbox, to compete with their rival PlayStation. So in 2001, they released their first gaming console, Xbox. After they saw PlayStation 2 as a threat to personal computer. So in 2005, they released Xbox 360. 2013, they released Xbox One. 2017, Xbox One upgraded version of Xbox One, which is Xbox One X, and 2020, Xbox Series X and Series S. So, but we are focusing in this presentation is comparison between PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which is the standard versions of their console released in 2013. They're both known as rivals during that era. Okay, next.
Okay, next for the hardware design for PS4 and Xbox One. For PS4, it comes with 10.4 times 11.3 times 1.5 inch, and PS4 has 4.62 until 7.27 pound for the weight, because PS4 has PS4 Pro, PS4 Slim, and PS4 Base, and Xbox One have uh the dimension is 11.6 times 8.9 times 2.5 inch, and comes with 8.4 pound. And if we can see, PS4 and Xbox One not much have different in terms of their hardware inside the console. And both of the Xbox One and PS4 use HDD, and also have a fan for their cooling system, and also and both of them also use optical drive controller. Okay, next.
Okay, so for the power, I will be specifically talking about the CPU and also the GPU. So the PS4 is divided into three categories, which is PS4 base, PS4 Slim, and PS4 Pro. So as for PS4 base and PS4 Slim, the CPU used is the AMD Jaguar 1.6 GHz 8 core, while the PS4 Pro is use the same CPU but different frequency, different clock speed, which is 2.1 GHz. And each core of both AMD Jaguar has 32 kilobyte level 1 instructions and database, as well as having shared 2 megabyte of L2 cache. And for the Xbox, it's divided into three, which is Xbox Base, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. So three of them uses the same, just like PS4, AMD Jaguar, and have different clock speed, which is 1.75 gigahertz for both base and Xbox One S, while Xbox One X uses AMD Jaguar 2.3 gigahertz. And the same as PS4, each core has 32 kilobyte of L1 instruction and database, and sharing the same 2 megabyte L2 cache. So for the graphic processing unit or the GPU, PS4 base and PS4 Slim is based on uses AMD Liverpool 28 nanometer, and has 1.843 teraflops, 18 computing units at 800 MHz. And PS4 uses AMD Neo 16 nanometer, 4.198 teraflops, 36 computing unit at 911 MHz. And for the Xbox One, the base use the AMD Durango 28 nanometer, 1.310 teraflops, 12 customized compute units and at 853 MHz. For the Xbox One S, it uses AMD Durango 2, the next version of AMD Durango, of 16 nanometer, 1.404 teraflops, 12 computing units at 914 MHz. And last but not least, the Xbox One uses the AMD Scorpio 16 nanometer with a 6.001 teraflops, 40 computing units at 1172 MHz. So for the architecture, the PS4 uses GCN 2.0, while the base while the Xbox One base and S uses 1.0 GCN architecture, and Xbox One X uses GCN 2.0 architecture. Next.
Okay, next. For the RAM for PS4 and Xbox One. RAM for PS4 use 8 GB GDDR 5 to 56 bit. So separate to 3.5 gig for operating system, 4.5 gig for documentation, and max frequency clock is 2.75 GHz. The highest bandwidth for PS4 is 176 GB per second. Use 8-bit prefetch buffer consists of 64 quad core, and PS4 has GPU processor with 5700 million transistor, and for Xbox One use 8 GB DDR3 320-bit for bus, 5 GB reserved for game, 3 GB used for utility software. Frequency max is 1066 MHz. Highest bandwidth is 68.2 gigabit per second. And used processor has 5000 million transistor. Next.
And now we are talking about the connectivity between PS4 and Xbox One, which is honestly didn't different very much because PS4 and Xbox One both have USB 3.3 port, but PS4 has a better port, and then both of them have gigabit Ethernet, both of them have HDMI port and optical audio output, and then they both also compatible for Wi-Fi. However, PS4 have Bluetooth, and Xbox One have specialty in Kinect port, and both of them has this slot. Next slide.
Okay, so for the price of these two console, PS4 and Xbox One, every generations of console launch, price is also a point of debate between PlayStation and Xbox. Each generations have a different price range according to the technology at the time it is launched. Price vary according to the specification provided by the developer. So as you can see in the slides, the price is actually quite close for PS4 and Xbox One, but for standard versions, PS4 is much cheaper than the Xbox One, and the others are quite the same for the upgraded versions. So next.
So for the controller, the PS4 named the controller as DualShock 4, and then because it's the fourth generation, and for the Xbox One, they didn't specify the specific name for the controller, but they only call it as Xbox Wireless. So for the both PS4 and Xbox One, the controller are compatible for Windows and Mac OS, and then they both also fully wireless. But however, for the PS4, it powered by 3.7 volt and 1000 mAh battery rechargeable using micro USB. For the Xbox One, they port with 2 AA batteries, and it could be rechargeable using play and charge kit. For the PS4 controller, it has built-in mono speaker. However, the Xbox One doesn't have any speaker, and the PS4 also have capacitive touchpad, while the Xbox One doesn't have any of it. And both of them is compatible for headphones jack and micro USB port. Next slide.
Okay, moving on to issues about the issues among PS4 and Xbox One. Okay, PS4 it has PlayStation network connectivity problems. The network connectivity issue are the most persistent complaint on PS4, especially on the original one, and it's often appear as NW312017 or WV338992 errors. And next is it has problem with this because it's auto reject because it auto reject. It's mainly affect the early PS4 model with touch capacity, power, and eject button. And it cause overheating and the rubber. It cause overheating of the rubber in the eject button to swell and the disc to be rejected randomly. Next is blinking blue indicator light. The blue light flashes continuously, indicates that the video output has failed and then mysteriously turn off. Okay, moving on to the Xbox One. Xbox One problem is stuck on the splash screen. Once launched, the green screen with the Xbox logo will freeze for a few minutes before the UI is displayed. And then the Xbox One won't power on. The system does not turn on, and if it does, it will immediately shut down again. And lastly, the disk drive make grinding sound only occur on the original Xbox One. It also display sorry, the disk can be display error message when the problems occur. Okay, next.
So for the summary, both PS4 and Xbox One is the latest gaming consoles available in the market, and PS4 is the fourth generation of Sony's, while Xbox One is the third generation of gaming console from Microsoft. And the hardware design of PS4 is more compact but lighter, and the Xbox One has slightly better processor, although PS4 has better RAM specification. So both consoles mostly share similar connectivity, but Xbox One has a higher price value compared to PS4. And each PS4 and Xbox One have their own design of controller, though they share similar function and usability. And on some occasions, both consoles have hardware and software related issues. So I think that's all from us. Thank you.